Whoever came up with this love letter recoupling deserves a raise because the drama was dramatic, okay? Imagine pouring your heart out on paper only to open your mailbox and find absolutely nothing waiting for you. We had people writing sweet little love notes, other people getting rejected in 4K, and by the end of the night, feelings were hurt, couples were reshuffled, and I was over here clutching my imaginary pearls. Let's be listy because episode 13 was a lot.
Kay Unscripted, no teens restricted. In this journey, watch our stories unfold.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. This is Kay Unscripted. I'm your girl Kay, and today we're breaking down Love Island USA Season 8 Episode 13. Now we have so much to talk about in this episode, but I just want to take a moment to thank everyone who has subscribed to the channel. And if you haven't already, please go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel for more recaps like this one. Now let's talk about episode 13, okay? So we start the episode off with Anaya and Trinity. Now from the last episode, she had just had her sit down with Casey where she walked out, and now she's filling in Trinity on what went down. She's saying that Casey said she cannot expect him to be serious all the time, and girl, I'm gonna have to call you out on that. That's not what he said. She's also saying that Casey is looking at things as if she's restricting him from exploring. And I'm so confused because these exact words came from Anaya saying that she doesn't want him to feel that way when he said a bunch of times that he's not interested in anyone else. So anyways, Trinity is telling her, well, if he wants to go talk to Sol, let him, because that's how you all are going to test your connection. And I was like, oh, I don't care if he talks to her. And again, she's the one suggesting to Casey to go talk to Sol when he said he doesn't want to. She's saying that she never told Casey he couldn't talk to anyone in the villa. But girl, from day one, we've seen you get in your feelings and come question Casey the moment you've seen him talking to anyone. So while you didn't say it directly, you insinuated that you didn't feel comfortable with him talking to any of the other girls because you aren't talking to none of the guys like that, okay? Then we see Casey talking to Bryce and Zach, and he too is also filling them in on what's going down, right? Bryce tells him that it looks like she's trying to lock him down and probably saying to go talk to Sol to see if he would. And while I don't really like Bryce, I'm not feeling him at all. I think he was right with that observation. But Casey does say that the conversation was off-putting for him, and at this point, he's just over the whole Sol thing. Now, I don't think Casey was ever really interested in Sol. All we've seen him say is that she looks like his ex, okay? And yes, he made that comment about being blessed, but I don't think that even after the conversation, there was anything there to persuade him to want to talk to her more, okay? Now Trinity is still talking to Anaya, and she's like, how are you going to moving forward? So Anaya's saying that she likes Casey a lot, but he's frustrating her at this point. And I'm like, no baby, you're frustrating yourself because you've been making up things in your head about this man and misunderstanding everything he's saying to fit the narrative you've created in your head. It's giving a little delusional, and I hate that for you, girl, because you're smarter than that. Because while you want to go through his brains to figure out where these issues are coming from, you need to get into your brain and figure out why you're being so insecure. It's not looking good for you at all, sis. It's giving low self-esteem because nothing this man has said is pointing to him being the problem. It's pointing to you. Anyways, Casey tells the guys that Anaya is beautiful, but they don't click when it comes to her mindset, right? Zach said he might need something more, right? And Casey's like, yeah, like you and Kata. But that's just a terrible comparison because this man just slept with this girl and said he wants to explore Bombshell. So that might not be the best example, Casey, okay? Now, he said in his confessional that he cannot fake who he is to make Anaya comfortable, and I will have to agree with him on that. At this point, she's not even trying to understand him, and I think they just need to pause on it for a little while and revisit another day, okay? Now, Caleb pulls his fellow bombshell Jen to catch up on bombshell business. He's telling her that he's adjusting to competing with another guy for a girl and that he'll let her know he's not going to be in her back pocket. But he's also being understanding because America placed them together. Kenzie really didn't ask for it, okay, in that sense, right? Jen's telling him that she doesn't think that Corbin and Kenzie will last long because once Melanie settles in, it's going to change the dynamics between Corbin and Melanie. But they don't know that these two are still consistently pursuing each other. Now, I think what happened here with Caleb is that he seems to be more reserved and passive, and Kenzie is definitely taking advantage of that. I mean, any woman, if you meet a guy and you feel like you could do anything to and get away with it, you're definitely going to push to the extreme. And I feel like this is what's happening with Kenzie and Caleb, okay? Now, Jen says that she likes being in a couple with Gabe and that he makes her feel very comfortable. And I said, girl, I bet he does, because I guess now it no longer matters that he's not your type, right? Because y'all are doing a lot. Anyways, Bryce and Zach talk. Bryce wants to know how he feels after going into the hideaway with Kader. He said that they're still open, but it's a weird place to be in for him because he feels like there's a high expectation to be closed off with her since they've gone to the hideaway and obviously since they've been intimate. Then we hear Bryce saying that he does think that Trinity is into him, but he wonders what her type is. And I don't know if I misunderstood, but was Zach asking Bryce if he would sleep with Trinity? I could have sworn that's what I heard, right? But anyways, he did say that they got really close to it, also insinuating that they almost slept together, but he had to stop it. He stopped it from going any further. You all already know how I feel about Bryce, and that's just that, okay? Now, as the Islanders are getting ready for bed, Mel's telling Kader that she and Cynthia had a chat and she told him she needs to see actions, and so they pinky promised to keep that between them. But then we see Sol walking in while they pinky promise, and she should realize that something is up, something is going on, because why else would Kader and Melanie be pinky promising if it doesn't have something to do with Cynthia? But I know she pipped that because later on we see her telling Caleb that she saw them pinky promising and feels like the house has a lot of secrets. Girl, I'm gonna need you to clock what's going on, okay? Because so far you've been right about everything happening in the villa so far, okay? Now we get to bedtime and it was a kissing fest up in that villa, okay? Except between Anaya and Casey. But did y'all peep that Gabriel and Jen were doing the do? We saw his boxers on the bed. And we also saw Trinity and Bryce hearing them doing the do. Y'all are a mess, okay? Now we get to the next morning and we know breakfast gets served by the guys, right? Caleb made breakfast for Kenzie. And then Corbin, he brings breakfast for Melanie. Then he's going to give Kenzie a heart-shaped pancake right in Melanie's face. So then Kenzie leaves the dressing room and Melanie's like, y'all, I don't know with him because we kissed last night and he's in here bringing heart-shaped pancakes for Kenzie. Like, what is it? What is going on? But Trinity tells her, girl, you need to go harder. And I agree because it's giving Kenzie really thinks she's that girl, but she's really not, okay? Now, Kenzie's chatting with her new girl crew. We no longer see her with the other girls. We're always seeing her with Sol and Jen, okay? So Sol's saying how she likes how Cynthia calls her cute little names and says beloved. And I said, beloved, or was it beloved? Beloved, okay? And I said, beloved, is that a cute pet name? That gives more friendship vibes to me. Am I missing something here? Do y'all think beloved is a cute pet name? Y'all, please let me know. Anyways, she said that he just wants to focus on them and grow. And I said, girl, he was just telling Mel he misses her. So I don't really think that's true. But then again, we know Cynthia be lying, okay? Now, Kenzie then talks about her chat with Corbin, and she says that their connection is really good, right? They both miss their connection, but they're trying to explore the current couple. But she also said that Corbin is giving her the reassurance that she needs. Now, Kenzie is definitely competing with Melanie for Corbin. That is very, very clear, okay? Jen says, well, I wonder if he's telling Melanie that. And then we see that the moment Sol got up, she's like, oh, I trust you, and so I'm going to tell you that me and Corbin, we made out, but we're keeping it a secret. And Jen was like, oh, good. That's why he made you the heart-shaped pancake. Oh, that makes sense. Now, of course, she's going to tell Jen that tea because Jen is supporting her thirst because they're thirst sisters together, okay? But Sol, on the other hand, she would probably call it out, okay? Of course, she would tell Sol. She wouldn't tell Sol that. She would tell it to Jen. Birds of a feather flock together. They're both birds, thirsty birds at that. Okay, so I wasn't surprised that she told Jen and wanted to keep that hush hush and not let Sol in on that. Okay. Then we have wedding number 1 and wedding number 2. You all know who I'm talking about. The two guys who really want to be together, but they're just faking it and trying to pretend that they like their couples, but they really just want to couple up together. They were talking to Sincere, okay? And they were like, oh, did you do anything last night? Did you do anything? I want to know. Tell us if you did anything. That was just weird to me. But anyway, Sincere is saying that he did tell Sol that he needed to have a chat with Melanie, and that was probably one of the hardest things for him to do, but Sol was so understanding of it. He's saying that she said she misses him, but if I remember correctly, he said it first and then she said it back. But anyways, he said they're not closing the door on each other, but it hurts seeing her come down every day and that she's not coming to him. But he's still getting to know Sol and getting comfortable with her. He then says in his confessional that he often thinks with his heart and not his head, and that has gotten him into a lot of trouble. Now, I think with him saying that, it's giving that his head is probably telling him to go with Sol because she brings this calm and safe side of him. She is giving a healthy relationship, but his heart's telling him to go with Mel. And let's be honest, she's a little chaotic, she's loud, she's a little toxic. She keeps him on his toes, and that's what he likes. So that's what he's going to go with, okay? Now we see Melanie and Corbin have a chat. He's asking her how she felt about the pancake thing to Kenzie, and she said that made her feel weird and it makes her want to just let him go be with Kenzie. And I said, period, Mel, because you're not about to be playing those games with me, especially after you said you're going to prioritize our connection, and furthermore, we made out, okay? Corbin's like, oh, don't self-sabotage. And I was like, boy, please, you know that's not what it is. She knows that's not what it is. Because she knows that the connection with Corbin is not going to go anywhere. And I feel like Melanie is preserving herself for a moment when she gets when she gets Sincere to herself. That's what's happening there. Now, Kenzie and Caleb chat. She's saying that now it's a little bit easier for her seeing Corbin with Melanie. And yet again, we see her lying to Caleb's face, saying that she just wants to focus on her connection with him and to keep growing. And we know that's not true, okay? She's leading Caleb on. She don't want that man. Next thing you know, they're talking about eye vision. Caleb said he has 20/13 vision. Kenzie said hers is better because she has 20/30, and she knows what she's saying because she just went in nursing school. She's not acting like she's that intelligent at all. Now, I don't know anything about 2013, 2030. Me pas sav a year about her. Me pas sav, okay? So I'm not even going to waste my time getting into none of that, okay? Anyways, she says in her confessional that she's waiting to see the more masculine side to Caleb, and that confirms what I said earlier, that he's too passive for her. Sol and Cynthia have a chat, and they're both talking about how they really feel good about their connection. She said she feels like he is honest and she doesn't have to guess when it comes to him. And we all know that's not true, okay? We know Cynthia has not been honest at all. She wants to know how he describes her to the boys. He says that she's a ball of fresh air, and I thought it was a breath of fresh air, but to Cynthia, it's a ball of fresh air. She makes him comfortable and happy. But can you look at her when you're saying that, Cynthia? Because you're always so spaced out anytime you're talking to Sol. There is no eye contact, and it makes me not feel like you. In fact, I'm just not going to believe anything you say because I've seen you lie over and over and over again. He's saying that he's never experienced a woman like her before, and that's really appealing to him. He also tells her that he wants to know everything about her from little to big. And again, do I believe him? Absolutely not. He's just saying whatever at this point to Sol, and the poor girl is just eating it up, okay? Now, Zach and Kata, why am I about to call these girls Zeta? Zach and Kata talk, right? She's asking if he likes her kisses, and he said Loki. But I feel like Zach isn't that interested in Kata because of the things he said. And I feel like once he does see someone who tickles his fancy, he's going to be done with her. Trinity then gets a text letting the islanders know that there's about to be a recoupling and that each person will write a letter to the person they would like to couple up with. That's cute, okay? So everyone's getting ready for the night. They get dressed up. It's raining cats and dogs up in that villa, okay? So then we see Ariana strutting into the villa, and she hasn't failed yet with one look, okay? So they all go up and they stand next to a mailbox that has their name written on it. Each couple, one by one, is going to open up their mailboxes. Now, if you have a letter in your mailbox, you are going to read it out loud. And the person that wrote you the letter is then going to open their mailbox. And if you wrote them a letter back, they will be a couple, right? But if you do not have a letter, or if the person that you wrote a letter to does not write you a letter back, you are single and vulnerable. That's how it's about to go down. So first up, we see Trinity and Bryce. They go first, and they both wrote a letter to each other, and they remain a couple. Now, you all know I don't like Bryce, and I don't trust him at all. But I also feel like Trinity can do better. I've said that time and time again. She just needs the right guy to come along. But the little love letters, it was cute, okay? Next is Jen and Gabriel. They too write to each other and remain a couple. We know Gabriel likes her, but remember she said he is not her type. But they have been exploring, if you know what I mean, okay? So she has no problem grinding, bumping, and doing all of that stuff with someone who's not her type. Up next, we have Anaya and Casey. They too both write a letter to each other, and I really enjoyed their letters. These two really did pour their hearts out to each other, and you could tell that they both needed that. I feel like they both give each other clarity and they understand why they are the way they are, and so these two remain a couple. Up next was Kata and Zach. They too write each other letters, and I also liked these two's letters. We understand why Zach is we understand Zach a little better, but we're going to have to wait to see what happens. They too also remain a couple. Next, we have Kenzie and Caleb. Kenzie opens up her mailbox and she has two letters. She reads the first one, and it's from Caleb, and the letter was really lighthearted. I liked it. I enjoyed that letter. Right, the second letter was from Corbin, no surprise here. And when Caleb opens up his mailbox, it's empty. I saw that coming. Everybody saw that coming. I think we all did, right? And poor Caleb, he looked so pissed, and I don't blame him. But he does head to the side to have a seat, and he's single and vulnerable, okay? So up next is Corbin and Melanie. Corbin goes up first. He opens his mailbox, and it's from Kenzie. He has a letter from. Okay, so he reads out the letter. I have no words for these two. They become a couple. Sincere goes next and he opens up his mailbox and he too has two letters, one from Melanie and one from Sol. And I'm just like, not this again. So he reads the first letter, right? And honestly, both of them were really heartfelt. But the first letter was from Sol, the second letter was from Melanie. So then we get to Sol. She opens up her mailbox and it's empty. And I'm just like, poor Sol. When Ariana asked her how she feels about it, she said she kind of had a feeling, she had a women's intuition. And so she asked Sol to head to the side. And so I'm just glad that this is over with. And now Sol can move on and be done with Cynthia and his lies, okay? So she heads to the side to see it, and then Melanie opens up her mailbox and reads her letter from Cynthia, and that makes them a couple, okay? So now that Sol and Caleb are both single, Ariana calls them up and she says, okay, tonight is about love. So these two become a couple, and so she encourages them to get to know each other. And y'all, that's where the episode ends. We also learn that America gets to vote their favorite couple, and that's going to be interesting to find out what happens next. Now I need to hear from y'all. Were you surprised Cynthia ultimately chose Melanie, or did you see that coming from a mile away? And finally, do you think Sol and Caleb could actually build something together, or are they just the leftover from everybody else's decisions? Drop all of your thoughts in the comments. Y'all haven't been doing any of that, but I'm gonna need you to do that, okay? Because you already know I'm going to be down there reading every single one. And if you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll catch y'all in the next one. Bye.